thought at that time was an immigrant culture. I later found out it was illegal aliens. And then it became very fast-paced. From, I would say, 85 until the present, it has just been unbelievably fast. Well, right now, if you're black in South Central LA, you can't get work. There are people working. But if you go to McDonald's, you're a 15, 16-year-old kid, you go to McDonald's for an after-school job, weekend job, summer job, they want you to be bilingual. Bilingual to flip a hamburger, okay? Are there some black kids working in South Central in McDonald's and Jack in the Box? Yes, there are. But the majority are not. You will go to these places now, there used to be all black kids working there, are now all Hispanics with the one token black kid in there. Construction work, non-existent for blacks, non-existent. I remember when they built the Magic Johnson Theater, owned by Sony and Magic Johnson. It was an all-white crew building this movie theater in the Crenshaw Mall. Black construction workers got very angry, picketed, went there and said, we want at least 50% of these jobs, which was correct. And they got 50% of the jobs. Now, you've got all these black construction workers out of jobs with no work, and every construction site now is all Hispanic, mostly illegal alien, and no black politician is saying a word. Even the janitors are becoming non-existent blacks. The only place that I've seen black folks still have a strong foothold, and that's slipping away, school janitors, LA Unified, okay, and bus drivers, LA Unified bus drivers, that Unified School District. That's the only place I still see a lot of blacks working. And the ticket agency to write your parking tickets is still predominantly black. Every other aspect of labor in South Central LA is now Hispanic.
The next question, okay, now he says, Anderson says it is to ethnically cleanse that area of black folks. Then he was asked, well, what has been the response from the self-anointed black leaders? Anderson says nothing. They're totally silent. You don't hear a word from them. Then Anderson says, whenever a minority kills one of us, that's okay. Change the perpetrator from Hispanic to white, and then those people will come out and march in the streets saying there's no justice, no peace. But the fact that it's not whitey doing this to us, it's okay. That's sad people, sad. Yeah, these just livid right now, and if you aren't, you need to shove a mirror under your nose to make sure you're still breathing. Okay, so now Anderson goes on to say, if the police stop a black driver, the black guy stubs his toe, they'll have a march. This thing that happened down in Jena, Louisiana is just a typical example. These kids actually did what they were accused of. This is Anderson speaking. Contrast that with 4 black college kids who were shot. 3 died in Newark, New Jersey. 1 was shot in the face. 2 of them were hacked with machetes. And the fact that the perpetrators were Hispanic, there wasn't one black leader who would investigate. Anderson goes on to say, those leaders are not affected the way we are. The leaders are living in communities where they are gated. But the rank and file black folks who are out in the streets, we have to deal with it every day. Each illegal alien house has 10 cars and 25 to 30 people in a 2-bedroom dwelling. We have to deal with those neighborhoods. They don't. Anderson goes on to say, I am an American. I don't like hyphens. I don't either. I'm an American first, and everything else about me is secondary to that. I'm an American. I don't like hyphens. I don't do the African American thing. But I am an American. I care about this country. I've been told many times by racist Hispanics to take my black you-know-what back to Africa. Mayor Villarosa has had some time in office now. He's supposedly concerned about the gang situation. Anderson says, I think he'd be a good mayor in Mexico because he identifies himself as a Mexican. He is a guy who stood on the steps of the city hall and said, we clean your toilets at a rally for illegal aliens. This is the mayor. I will not align myself. Now this is Anderson talking. He says, I will not align myself with black people just because they are black. If we have something in common for a common cause, fine. We should align as Americans. but he aligns himself with people based on race. We're going to check in Texas in the crosshairs. Narco-terrorism. This slideshow was put out by the Texas Department of Agriculture. Let's go ahead and take a look at those pictures. That gives us a story. So now we're going to go on down to Arizona and check in with Arizona. The Southern Exposure, the documentary, and again, all these video clips and everything that you see here is up on my website.
If an immigrant arrives in the United States legally, it's presumed that they don't come with dangerous or contagious diseases. Not so for those who enter through the back door.
TB had essentially disappeared from the United States thanks to our excellent hygiene and sanitation and thanks to our brilliant drugs. 84% of those patients presenting with MDR TB come from Mexico and the Philippines. Chagas disease. It is in Latin America infecting every year 18 million people. Chagas is now infiltrating America's blood supply. How about leprosy? The leprosy is coming in the bodies of illegal aliens, mostly from India, Brazil, the Caribbean, and Mexico. Now let's look at dengue fever.
And all of that stuff in that layup area, you shouldn't have even been there. The disease that's probably out there, you don't know. The tuberculosis, the leprosy, the stuff that's coming in here that we have done away with forever, and it's coming back.
Clearly, for hospitals, for healthcare, those types of illnesses tend to consume a lot of resources. They're unique in some respects, for example, leprosy. And those treatment protocols probably do put added stress on the healthcare system from a cost perspective. And if it's coming from sources that don't have income streams, American taxpayers pick up the difference.
The strain on our medical system is enormous. In a 2004 study, the Federation of American Immigration Reform estimated the uncompensated cost of medical care for illegal aliens, just in California alone, was $1.4 billion.
Until the illegal immigration is either controlled, contained through border enforcement, or the rules are changed so we have a more structured approach to people entering and exiting the country. From a healthcare perspective, hospitals and providers are a bit held hostage.
So let's go ahead, let's go to the Southern Exposure, the documentary. Alright, so there you have it. You see for yourself what the threat to public health is. Cartels and terrorists, drug smuggling, Atlan and Reconquista. And then, I don't know if we're going to show the pics of the upside down flag and the middle finger, Nebraskans killed by. Let's go ahead and show those real quick. Alright, so you see, illegal immigration, one cannot just take one little particle of the whole picture of illegal immigration and try to make a case for why you should support it. You've got to look at everything that illegal immigration involves. And that's what these video clips are trying to explain to you and educate you to. Because again, you're not going to get this from your preachers, your priests, your ministers, or anyone else who's trying to push amnesty and acceptance of illegal aliens. Alright, now let's go over and see. This was back from July 15, 2010. Family Security Matters reported this. Hundreds of Somalis, including Al-Shabaab terrorists, have been smuggled into the United States by Anthony Joseph Tracy, a native of Pennsylvania. Tracy, who is white, converted to Islam while spending time in state prison. In 2008, he traveled to the Horn of Africa, where he sold counterfeit documentation to Somalis who wished to either to escape from their war-torn country or to launch terror attacks on American soil. Tracy admitted to smuggling over 270 Somalis, many bad characters, into the United States from 2008 to 2010. Despite his admission of illegal activity, Tracy was released from custody. ICE has offered no explanation of its failure to pursue prosecution. None of the Somalis whom Tracy smuggled into the U.S. have been located. Al-Shabaab, an offspring of Al-Qaeda, has morphed into one of the world's leading terrorist organizations. U.S. officials have discovered that cells of Al-Shabaab have been planted in such major American cities as Minneapolis, Washington, D.C., New York, Atlanta, St. Louis, and Lewiston, Maine. Several mosques in Minneapolis, St. Paul have been identified as Al-Shabaab recruiting centers. ICE officials maintained that the Somalis who obtained Tracy's services were equipped with bogus bank statements and passports from Kenya, which allowed them to fly to Cuba. When receiving Cuban visas, the Somalis flew to Mexico and other South American countries and entered to the United States over its southern border. In recent years, a number of American Somalis have returned to their native land to enlist in Al-Shabaab and to take place in the group's jihad against the UN-backed Somali Transitional Federal Government. The first militant to carry out a bombing in Somalia was a U.S. citizen from Minnesota. In 2008, Al-Shabaab declared war on the United Nations and the United States. Do you still think that restricting guns or banning them is a good idea? All right. Well, that's our show for today. Join me next week when we're going to have conservative talk show host Scott Voorhees from the KFAB 1110 AM radio here with us. Enjoy your week.